All right. Looks like we got some confirmation, so at least I know the sound is good. Okay. So like I said, today's topic is going to be about uh, traffic and assignment management. Okay. And I guess, like I said, if you would have any questions during this, you're welcome to type that into the chat, and I'll try and answer them either during or at the tail end. The recording, since you signed up, you'll be able to obviously access that. Uh, we'll send you a link to that. You can also go to support.workamajig.com. There's a section under videos called webinars, and you can actually follow that page. And again, when anything new is uploaded into that page, then you'll get an email. Okay. All right. So if we start off in, as a project manager, you're usually coming in and you do know how, I'm quite sure you do know how to create a project and how to kind of deal with those. And so if I'm just looking at my projects here, so I have my projects, I'm sure that for the schedule part that you are aware of how to create the schedule, how to assign tasks to that schedule, okay, or put tasks onto the schedule, and then also perhaps assign people to it. I'll kind of step back to that. So if I come in here, sorry, the sound is kind of, or the chat window is kind of blocking me a little bit, sorry. If I click on to the assigned, you'll notice that I have, again, people assigned to it along with a service and the number of allocated hours. Now, this is the way we're saying that you should be tracking, but I know some people will either just have the person on it. They may not allocate hours. Again, they may have the service, but again, maybe not allocating hours. What we're looking for is really, again, I'm actually asking you to do work on this particular task, okay? So once I have that assigned, and generally when we're ready to go with the project, so I've gone through and assigned everybody to it, there's a way for me to go ahead and notify everybody that a task has been, assigned, and I can either come up to here and I can say send notifications, and so that's going to let everybody know that's on this project that they're, they've been assigned to the project, and it, here's the task, and it'll tell me that, for example, you have a task on June 24th, so on. Okay. Now, as I obviously, I would also put the project status into, something that I'm working on as opposed to just thinking of it. I would say we're into production. Okay. So that combination is kind of making those tasks available to your staff. Now, how do they see it is, again, depending on how you guys like to work. There's kind of the free will where myself as a copywriter or designer, I kind of look at my schedule and I see it pop up, right? And I can come into the Today Creative, for example, and let's see, I need to change my display options perhaps. Just going to set it to all for now. But I'm going to see a list of my assignments that you've given me. And so it would be up to me to kind of control what I'm doing, right? So I'm seeing that there may be some high priority tasks that you've given to me, and I'm able to see those and enter time. I'm able to see, things that are just kind of on my board, and I may have long-term low priority ones that are kind of sitting down at the bottom. But the idea is that I'm probably going to be cleaning out my board and then working on the next set, okay? The other style is more where project managers or traffic people are going to be giving them a little bit more emphasis and telling them a little bit more what to do. And that may be where we get into this high and medium, right? Again, I'm able to set the task to be a high priority. So again, that kind of dribbles up to the top, and I'll be able to communicate other information along with that, such as, please make sure you get this done. Okay. And so again, it's high priority, please make this done. And so again, I would probably, as a creative, I'm probably going to be jumping onto that right off the bat and then moving forward. Okay. Now, as a project manager, how is it that I'm seeing these, or as a traffic manager? So from the Today PM page, okay, I have what is called assignments, right? And so the idea of assignments is I have, for example, my do but not done. I have my current work list, right? So these two things are going to help me see across the board what is everybody doing. So if I look at my do but not done, the idea is probably this is a Monday morning meeting. I'm going to jump into this and I'm going to basically, and, oh, that one was working here. Hope I didn't change the, okay, I must have messed up my my search on this. I just had it done. I'm very sorry. Okay, I know I got the other one in there. Okay, so the idea of this screen is basically it's showing me each assignment for an active project. Okay, so the idea is that I can see it. I can slice and dice it any way I kind of like. Again, each person, each group is probably a little different. In this case, I'm going by prod or client and then project, and then I can see who's assigned to it. And again, I'd see their task ID and what they're doing. So from this one, I can actually see how many hours they've worked on. So there's a lot of ways to kind of slice and dice it. But the other nice thing about this screen is that I can also, again, jump into the task itself, as you can see, and I can edit it accordingly. So if I need to reassign this to somebody, or I need to add more people on, maybe I need to add another step into the system, again, changing dates, perhaps even putting in more detail or leaving a note for them so they're moving it on top, that type of thing. So again, I can quickly jump into this. The other side is I can also, if I know that they've completed it, I can also mark this particular thing, this done as well. Okay. So again, quite a bit of power in this particular listing screen. And I said, if you can, if you have gone to the reporting seminar, you know that you can modify this. And again, kind of group it in the way you want, put in the columns that are meaningful for you. If you have certain ways of calculating, for example, allocated minus actual, for example. Now, again, this particular screen doesn't take that you have to allocate hours at all. You can just simply see that I've assigned somebody to a task without perhaps any allocation of hours, and yet I can still see that assignment. Okay. So for those of you who don't allocate hours to people, that would be available. Okay. Let's see if there's, okay. All right. So the next section we can then move on to. So again, this is one way of kind of dealing with those daily reports and kind of deciding what to do with your tasks. The next thing we can look at is if you are allocating hours, again, perhaps you are coming into the resource manager and we have the staff schedule. And under the staff schedule, what this is providing us with is a kind of an across the board view of people's time. Okay, so this is a week view, this is a daily view. So the idea of this is to say, again, if I'm allocating hours across all my projects, where are people, right? And how busy are they? Do I need to reassign them? Are they out of the office, right? So I'm able to see all of that information regarding them. If I click onto their name, it's going to provide me with a list of all projects for these 2-week period. And I can see, again, how long, when's the plan start and complete. I can actually see if there's been work done on it, how many hours are kind of remaining on it. And the other thing I can also do is jump into them. So this is actual time entries it's telling me. So again, that's coming into account for this. But for the other ones, again, if there has been time or I need to reassign it, I will quickly be able to, for example, jump into the task, make adjustments, or I can also, again, select off maybe multiple ones and get those reassigned to somebody else because I know this person happens to be out of the office or is going to be unable to handle these particular tasks. Okay. So that is the idea of the staff schedule. Again, lots of filters that we can do on this. Again, right now it's just saying kind of show me everything, but under the options, you can see that I can say, well, show me just all of my, graphic designers. Where are they at? Okay. Now, again, just because I'm looking at graphic designer, does, it's looking for all services that are graphic designer, and I don't have anybody up there. So probably I have a copywriter or something, or creative design. Let's give me a few more. Okay. So it's going to show me both unassigned work and assigned work, okay, across the board. And also, just because I said just show me, that creative design, art creative design, I'm still seeing all of the hours that is actually assigned to Daddy Arbuckle, for example. Okay, so it doesn't eliminate any extra hours. So again, you're not going to be doubling up. I see that they're, he's available to do some work, and so obviously I can do that. Now, if I say, for example, and I know this is not many places, if they maxed on hours, we would say that they're overbooked. And so, for example, if I say if anybody who has over 3 hours, right, in the day, they're considered overbooked. I know that's kind of silly, but what we do is we'll actually kind of, make that visible to you. Okay. The other side is also if they're actually out of the office, on vacation, or they're with a client for an all-day event or convention or something like that, we will actually try and move any assignments off of them and mark it in kind of a yellow pattern. So again, we would see that they're out of the office and for what reason. Okay. All right. So again, when I'm starting to look at this kind of more across the board, again, there's quite a few ways for you to slice and dice this information, so you can again see, where you guys are at, and do I need to stretch things out. So this would be a good way for, again, I may not be busy at this point in time, so I can take on some new projects, or if I look out maybe a little bit further, maybe an extra week or two, something like that. Did I not kick that out far enough? For example, a few more weeks out, and I'll get to see that, where I can say, oh, okay, hey, it looks like I'm going to be able to actually do this. Can't do it this week or next week, but maybe we can slot it in for the following week type of idea. Okay. Okay. So the question comes up is, we wanted to use the staff schedule, but it's not showing tasks that were past due. We actually kind of said, well, again, if it's past due and you said it can't move forward, then it's going to drop off. But we do have a setting in transaction preferences to basically say, if the task is started and has not been completed, then that plan complete date can march forward. So it would continue to each day you came in, it would still be on the board for you to take a look at. Okay, so that's the way we handle it. Again, the idea is that, if the task isn't in the date frame, in the time frame, then again, yeah, we're not going to report out on that. So that's a way to kind of alleviate that. Okay. Okay. The other question we have, kind of a talent bank function to survey staff on their competence to tie into this. Again, we would more go off of the services. So if they do have a service, we'd assign that either to their employee record, or if they're freelancers, we'd connect that to their contact record. And so again, when I search for I need copywriters, they would show up and I would see how busy they are. Okay. Now, again, so this is kind of looking at workload across the board for them. The next thing we can kind of look at is, again, that's kind of seeing what the individual is doing. We may also be looking at more what is going on across all projects, again, in more of the timeline. And for that, go ahead and jump off of this, is we have a traffic calendar. So for the traffic calendar, again, many ways to kind of slice and dice this particular view. It's basically saying, at its basic, we're just saying, show me everything that's in progress over a certain time period and, for certain clients. But again, we're kind of trying to keep it open. And so when we do that search, it's going to, again, pull in all of those projects. Okay. Now, when I expand that out, again, it may give me quite a bit more than I need, right? And so that's the idea of maybe filtering it. And I can see this in a couple of different views. Again, the grid view kind of giving me a Gantt chart for it. I'm able to jump into each of these tasks. And again, just like the other ways where I can, reassign things, maybe increase, add new assignments to it, adjust accordingly, right? I need to move a date out. I need to maybe make it, a high priority versus a low priority. I may even need to send a note, put a note onto that assignment, okay? And I'll be able to kind of handle that from here, okay? But then I'm seeing kind of across the board where are all the tasks that are kind of fitting into this. So this is a pretty good one for, again, your Monday morning scrum. Show me where we're at, show me those tasks. Is there any adjustments I need to make to these individual schedules so we can get in, or to individual assignments, okay? Okay. Okay. And as far as the other competency for such as language and years of experience and things like that, no, we do not have that functionality in the system. We have some questions on, can we export schedules to Excel? Okay, it depends. Maybe we can take that offline. If you would like to send us a note, and then I can kind of handle that. So for Excel, again, it's kind of doing a WYSIWYG, so it may not kind of look the way you think, and Excel kind of handles things a little differently sometimes. So it may be that a report may be a better functionality, and we can either kick it out as CSV, or again, it does go to Excel. So if I print, it does give you a chance to use Excel. Okay. So as you can see, again, if I said print on this particular one, I'm going to get, the ability to send it to Excel. But there may be other reports that may be better for you to use. Okay. Okay. Trying to catch up on some questions here. Okay, we need to be able to report on past due tasks. And again, that was my do but not done list. So again, unfortunately, I think I switched some filters on that particular one. The do but not done is, again, looking at show me tasks that are have either started or we're supposed to start on or before today. And that would be, again, my do but not done. But again, you just need to sort that. So that'd be under the assignments that'd be available. Okay. Okay, so we're on. Oh, I see. So you're saying, can I see past due tasks on the schedule? So that went back to, again, if you want to kind of, instead of it being back in the past, again, I can't work yesterday. So the better idea would be maybe we just let the task due date push right forward because it has not been completed, which would then affect your schedule. And again, that schedule being affected would, of course, affect the timeline itself. And so again, would a project be suddenly be in the red, right? Because the schedule, there's an issue with the schedule, for example. Okay. Okay. So again, yeah, I mean, I guess one of the questions is we can't let due dates move forward because we have the hard deadlines. And again, if it moves past those hard deadlines, again, that's where the schedule's in trouble, right? It would be red. how would you fix that? If something was due to be done 3 days ago and it wasn't completed, I would imagine that you would then need to adjust the rest of the schedule so you can pull it forward, right? So either automatically doing that, or again, you are looking at doing the do but not done list to see how can you basically readjust those schedules to get them back on plan. Yeah. Yeah, again, just as kind of a comparison, again, the staff schedule, again, is designed what is my workload across time into the future so I can plan out more into the future. The look into the past on the staff schedule is actually what was actually done in the past. So that's the way the staff schedule is designed to work. Again, it's just looking at the, if it's the past. So for example, I see that BZ had actually entered an hour's worth of time on Monday. So it's just going to show me the actual hours, not assignments during that particular period. So you can see when I click into it, it shows me how much time they worked, because again, it's stuff that happened in the past. Okay. So now, again, for a lot of people, this is again kind of that simple mode of you know, we're just assigning people to a task. We may not allocate people, allocate hours to them, but we at least give them assignment. And so again, typically you're going to have a very simple way of dealing with things, probably not the staff schedule. Again, you're probably going to use the project management side where you're looking at the assignments and kind of adjusting things from there. Realize that there are more kind of advanced tools, I should say, if you work in certain time frames, or for example, if your project managers are much more adept and they kind of define what your work is for the day, then we have what is called an assignment management screen. And this is kind of looking at this week, what is your workload? And again, you're kind of slotting things out. You would create these slots. Again, kind of a specific workflow, and again, it's more that traffic managers are defining that. And we'll actually be covering this one in a future webinar. Okay. Okay. Can you talk to us about the role section? So role is basically, again, just the what are they doing, right? So again, it's the service. Unfortunately, again, some programmers have, they labeled it one way, and so it's role equals service in that case. So am I a copywriter or not? They view, when you click into hours for a person, it shows a percent column at the far right. They're saying at a staff schedule, all right, let me kind of follow through with this. And you're saying day view, when you click into the hours for a person, okay, and you're seeing this, and that's a percentage complete for the assignment. So this is them, it's them actually going into the task and saying, I'm 10% done, I'm 25% done, I'm 50% done. If it was 100%, it would drop off of the list. But that's, again, just a communication to tell you that I'm halfway done. And in reality, in this screen, then it will recalculate these hours just to let you know the hours per day. If I was originally allocated, this is the example I used, if I was allocated 10 hours over 5 days, that would mean I would see 2 hours in each day for that assignment. But if I said I was halfway done, it would say, oh, okay, since you're halfway done, you don't need the 10 hours, you only need 5 of those hours. I'll take those 5 hours and split them across probably the 4 days at that point in time. Does that make sense? So then the workload per day would be reduced. Okay. Okay. Now as far as Okay, so I'm saying, what does the section on the staff screen do? So I'm not sure what that one means. I guess it's, you know, if I drill into it, and what does that 50% do? And I guess I can just explain that perhaps. Is there a task timer? So you're saying when somebody gets, you know, when somebody has their assignment, I think here we go. Here I am as BZ writer, and oh, maybe that was the issue. And I'm in my Creative Today page, right? So I have my assignments. I can start a timer for that, and I can have multiple timers running. And these are all server based, right? So again, if I have to leave or I drop off, again, I'm just going quickly refresh, and you'll see that that timer is still running. So I just refresh my browser, so I had actually logged out. If I log back in, I'll let you know those timers will run, I think, 7 days before they finally break. Okay, can I walk through the hot sheets versus standard printout for the traffic calendar? Okay, now for the traffic calendar, again, there's a couple of, a few views for this one. So first off is, again, it's just more from your guys' point of view where you can do a search based upon certain criteria, right? And that's going to, again, display that list that fits those criteria. I can see it as a calendar view. I can see it in a, you know, grid with a, you know, a Gantt chart exposed on it. When it comes to printing, and you're saying, well, what's the hot sheet versus, you know, what are the different ones? So again, the hot sheet is basically saying, how do you want to group it? And again, it's just basically showing me that same thing. I'll go ahead and print it out. So it's just more giving me a list of items, which then I could grab and, you know, either download it and upload it somewhere, or I could email it out to people. Okay. So it's just, again, just saying on this date, there are these tasks. On this date, there's these tasks. So it's more of that week view, again, kind of based upon whatever your search criteria were. Okay. Okay. Now, the other thing that also comes out of the traffic calendar is the ability to actually have it display out. So if I'm in the traffic calendar, and sorry, these are traffic calendar. Now, these, it says publish a calendar. So if I come in and I basically create a new search criteria and I do a search, it's going to ask me, well, do you want to save that type of search? And so I can actually publish that. And the idea being that when I come in, I can actually have it show on the calendar for others to see. Okay. So if you guys use the Workamajig calendar, and that's what I'm doing here. So everybody on calendar. And as long as I have marked that I want to see those calendars. So here's the copywriter. He wasn't involved in that per se. And so now they want to see that particular calendar. So I can go to display options and I can say, show me the published calendars that they're maybe interested in. So this could be my teen calendar, for example, or, you know, all copywriters type of thing. And those published calendars would be available for me to view on my calendar. And then for some of them, again, it'll give me kind of direct link into that particular project as well, depending on how I set it up. Okay. Okay. Now, sorry, kind of jumping back onto the staff schedule. Looks like we're a little bit hodgepodge here. No worries. So on the staff schedule, again, it had said, you know, when I clicked in the easy writer here or copywriter, and it said 50% complete, right? And you can see, for example, in this one, I'm not in the actual day. I had a 5-hour allocation. I hadn't done any work, but I said I was 50% done. So it's these hours per days that is going to be done, kind of calculated in. So it's looking at allocated hours divided by the duration of the task or remaining duration of the task, and then multiply that by 50%. And so that's why I get a 1.25 into the remaining days as opposed to splitting, you know, that time in. Okay. Can you show how a traffic manager would update the allocated hours for a person on a staff schedule? Yeah, I mean, that's if I need to update, for example, I didn't think that they got enough, right? And they need some more time, I can just click into it and give them 10 hours, right? So just save that and I'm directly in there and may have to hit refresh, but it looks like it actually picked it right up. So there's the 10 hours now. Okay. And if I do adjust those hours, right, you saw how it immediately kind of rolled it up, right? It kind of then pushed it back out. I may have to refresh it, but I think it already did. It basically just cascades that immediately, right? As soon as it sees that you allocated them more hours, it fills up the rest of the time and looks at that duration. Yeah. So again, all of these links that we're seeing, so as I jump into here and I jump into a task and you're editing this task, that is the task information. So it feeds back into the project. So wherever, if you're looking at the task now, if I had it open, it's not going to refresh the two at the same time, right? I may have to refresh one of them, but this is the schedule. So when I'm in here, it is like you're looking at the schedule. Although I would recommend that you actually use this or you're using the traffic calendar when you're editing the schedule. Reason being is how it is saved. Just to give you a heads up. So when I'm here and I make an adjustment here on this task and I hit save, it's saving that one task. Okay. But if I go into the actual schedule, so here I am in the project and I go to the schedule itself, when I save here, it actually is going through every task and making a save. So it basically is recalculating everything and making the save. So if somebody else has this screen open, there's a chance that you could overwrite their data, or worse, they'll overwrite your data. Okay. But if you're each in their own, the chances of you both being in kickoff meeting at the exact same time, pretty remote. So when you save, it's a good bet that it'll save, but it all feeds back into here. And you can see right here where I had adjusted this from 2 hours to 10 hours, and you can see that that was done. Okay. Can the traffic calendar give you a monthly calendar? Yes, that's what I had displayed in that calendar view, as you saw. Let me go back to the traffic calendar. And again, looking at the calendar view, and if you wanted to print that, again, I'm just saying, it's just going to give you the WYSIWYG. So whatever you had in there, that's how it would show. Okay. And the AE versus PM, yeah, we discussed that. There's no movement at this point. We're just trying to figure out what is the true differentiation between them. I know some larger agencies, they do actually have that differentiation, but others do not. Okay. And that in a, okay. And that really, again, at the basic, that's again how we're kind of dealing with assignments, how people can kind of talk to each other. As far as again, I'm sending a note off to that end user about how to get things done. So as both the creative side, like I said, from my board, I'm going to be able to see that information. Why is that not coming in again? There we go. Okay. So again, you're being able to basically set these notes in is a way of communicating that. And this does not, take away from the fact of obviously conversations and task notes and things like that that can also be added in. Okay. Oh, I see what you're doing. Now the question came in that if I'm changing the allocated hours in the staff schedule, uh, then it says that I won't do that. It depends on how you're doing that. If you're going into the week view, for example, and saying, show me the buckets, and you adjust the buckets in that way, then you're correct. We think that you want to control it and we won't do it. But when I clicked into the task itself and added more hours into the task level, then it does see it as just an adjustment in the allocations for that particular task. So there is this way of saying, you know, where I can bucket hours. Not many people are using it. So again, where I each week is bucketed out for X number of hours, and I can say, I don't need him to work on this 2-week task in the first week, and you can move the hours into the second week. And so at that point in time, that's the way we would see it. We'd say that you were doing it manually. Okay. Does logging task fill in your timesheet? I'm not sure what you mean. I guess if I'm again, time entry is time entry. So if I have a timer going, of course I clicked off of my assignment. That's going pre-fill in my work. And so again, when I stop this, that would go to my timesheet. But me just seeing a task on it does not enter time. Okay. Okay. Are there any questions? Somebody has asked a question about to-dos, and I'd be happy to go over that. I'm asking, is there anything else for, again, questions regarding staff schedule or traffic calendar or the assignment list or the assignment views out of the project manager screen? And as far as the time, I have to actually enter time on a timesheet for it to enter. I can complete a task without entering time. So no, so it takes me actually going to a time entry or to the timesheet itself to enter time. Some other effects. So when I'm at the staff schedule or traffic calendar, again, if I'm editing schedules, the duration of the task, the timing of the task, if I'm inserting people, that will all should be pretty instantly reflected within the staff schedule. And again, it reflects back into the schedule itself. And excellent question regarding the task duration. If I change it for a particular person, we did have that where we can have an assignment. 2 people are assigned to it as long as I have track actual separately set on the task, where I can have somebody start and end prior to somebody else within that task. It's still bound by the overall task duration and the start and end dates, right? But yeah, I mean, I could have somebody that works 3 out of the 5 days, and I have another person that works 2 out of the 5 days. And so changing it on that one assignment only affects that one person. But in general, when you're adjusting at the task level, then you are adjusting it for both people. Okay. Can you view only the schedule view Can you schedule view separate from the Gantt view? I take it you're talking about in the traffic calendar. Again, I don't have to see the Gantt. I can just say hide that. And if I take out columns, then that would kind of hide that. And I can also drag the the Gantt to be larger. So can you use the Workamajig calendar and a Google calendar? Now, the traffic calendars that would be created are not an object that can be synced over to Google. Okay. Assignments do not sync over to Google. As far as meetings and things between Google, yes, those would all sync across. Okay. Okay, so PTO, how does that affect the staff schedule? So you should always, PTO should always be tracked on your own personal calendar. It may be visible also in a public calendar, but for the most part, when I create a calendar event, I want to make sure that it is at least it's block out, okay, and it's usually an all-day event, right? And I would just say PTO. And this is what the system is looking for on your personal calendar. Okay. Now, if you put it to a public calendar, like for example, I have a vacation calendar, that particular calendar is set up to say block out attendees only. So in that case, it does kind of feed back into my personal calendar and would show up as a personal day off. So I would just come in and say PTO, right, David, so everybody can see it perhaps. And when I save that, then that would be taken into account. And again, your personal calendar could sync over to Google, or if you had it in Google or in 365, that would sync across as a block out day as well. So again, that it would work. Okay, so I guess a question on, so I have a task, so it's a time entry. So I have a task that I've been assigned to, and I see that I'm supposed to be working on this. And so the only way that time would get entered into my timesheet is really, I can go new time entry. So this is going to be what did you work on, right? How long did you work on it? So it's a 100-minute clock. So I'm going to say I worked 15 minutes on it, and I can put in a billing comment for it, and that would show up when I save that. That shows up on my timesheet. Okay. The other way I can also do that is obviously I can set a timer, right? And so when I'm done with the timer, I can say stop the timer. And that also would be based upon however I have that set up, and I can always adjust that afterwards, put in comments if I need to, and I can save that. Again, that goes to my timesheet. Okay. And that's the way we would prescribe you to enter time. However, you can still come into your timesheet itself and you can enter in rows as well and put them directly into your timesheet. Okay. But I will give you heads up that usually manually entered ones that may or may not be connected to the task or may be put towards a different service, those are not going to count towards your allocated hours in the staff schedule. So if you had been assigned, 5 hours of copywriting and you put in 2 hours of PR copywriting, which would be different, then that would not count towards your allocation. So there'd be no effect, even if you were putting it towards the same task. So for example, editing. So if I said, oh, no, I did some graphic design work, same task, everything. Again, that's not counting towards the 5 hours or 10 hours that I was assigned to that. Okay. Okay. This is why I would traffic by moving assignments around on the assignment management screen or versus adjusting allocation changing. Okay. I'm not sure about this question. The reason I would traffic by moving assignments around on the assignment management screen or adjusting allocation and changing assignments on a staff schedule, for me, it's really the same thing. When I click into a particular task on that screen, okay, it is kind of showing me the same thing, right? So if I'm in staff schedule and again, it's giving me that list and I'm clicking into that schedule and I'm adjusting here, there's no difference if I'm in the actual project schedule or if I'm on the assignment screen. So this is the task itself. So if I'm, in here, and that's what we tried to make it. So if I'm here and in my assignments and I'm looking at the, the current work list or something like that, sorry, grabbed the wrong one. Okay. So when I click into here, again, this is that task. So it's doing the same edits. Okay. If nothing is showing up in your traffic calendar, it's a good bet that there's a filter in the way. So usually just change it to 0 or something like that, and then or all time. Make sure everything's unchecked and it'll go. If you're still having an issue, just send a note to support and we can kind of help you directly. Okay. If a person is on PTO, can they still be assigned to a task for that day? What we'll try to do on PTO is if it can be pushed off, we will. So if it's a 3-day task and you're out one of those days, it'll put the allocation onto the other 2. But if it can't, those hours will remain on the task, thereby probably putting you over, right? If that makes sense. And so it'd be up to the PMs to come in and say, oh, shoot, that task is, a 1-day task and that person's out of the office. So they would need to reassign it. Okay. But it tries to move it off if it can. For the person asking about assignment buckets, I'm going to say, can you please just send in a note to support, and we'd be happy to train you on that. Yeah, and sorry, yeah, you're correct for the staff schedule that we basically try to say yellow and 8, and so if you had an assignment that was 4, then it'd turn it red, and so we try and you automatically see that we need to readjust that. Okay. Okay, and we do not have an auto change the assignments into timesheets. Okay, so yeah. We actually looked at that quite a while ago, and it's like, well, then what's the point of the timesheet? Because it's, did they actually work the 4 hours, right? You assigned it to them, but that doesn't mean they worked the 4 hours. So then it became kind of, doesn't quite make sense to do that. So that's the way we put it. So we basically, you need to put the time in. Okay. All right. Okay, so for to-dos, okay. So again, you may get another version of this in the next one where we're doing kind of the agile look. But the idea of to-dos, as I see it, again, in this simple way, is really a checklist of, I need you to make sure you complete certain things prior to saying you're done with this task. And so, for example, if it's a collateral piece or a print piece that needs to go out, I may have 3 different fonts that I need. So it may be one of the to-dos is, confirm these fonts are on the server, right? Confirm the pictures are uploaded into the file area. Whatever the case may be, did you buy the URL, right? So all the just again, reminders for your task people to deal with. So if I go into that particular task, again, I'm coming into one of my schedule, and that's what this to do is. So again, when I see this, I have a couple of choices. If I say one item to do, so I can say, check URL, confirm. Okay, and so these are 3 to-dos that are connected to this particular task. Right now, they are not to anybody, right? They're just sitting there. So when I come into that, save that task. Okay, looks like we broke on that one. Okay. Okay, I get a report a bug. But the idea is that that person would then be able to come in on their assignment, right, which I would be able to see, and I can actually go to that, and let's see, make sure I'm on the right one. 1903 new branding, create a brief. Create a brief, right? Oh, that's 3. Oh, did I mark myself done? I think I'm on the wrong one there. Oh, there it is. Okay. And so that to do, again, it remembers that I'm there. So again, I'd be able to see that to do. And then if I'm done with it, or I can send comments, I can email people about it. I can switch it off and add it, okay, I'm going to take this over, so it's going to be kind of on my plate and not on Daddy's. But then maybe when I'm done with it, I can switch it off to Daddy for further confirmation. Or I'm just saying, yeah, I'm done with it, so I can just say completed, which would be, yeah, right here, mark it as completed. Okay. So it's just another way of kind of having that minimal list, just as a reminder. And these can be set up on the templates and copied over. Okay. Your project work back. Okay. So are you saying that I've the sound has gone away? Okay, so I guess just somebody lost sound. Okay, can I do to? Yeah, I mean, it can be on the template, so you kind of if you have certain things that need to be done on certain tasks, that you can put it on a template and it will copy over. Okay. Is there any place to see to-dos? Yes, there are. Okay, so once again, on the project manager, we have this under views is to-dos. And again, you would kind of slice and dice this to give you the information you need and in order to kind of keep track of those. And when you click into them, you're going to be able to jump to it and again, edit it as you need to. That's probably the best way. And again, putting in filters and groupings and things like that that allow you to quickly see things. So again, I probably would create one that says, give me incomplete to-dos, right? Project is completed, perhaps, right? So my filter might be task is done, right? Task completed, I believe. I thought we had that in here. Yeah. So we could basically say, is this completed or not? Right. So that's going to give me that. And then I may be looking for a certain, is the assignment active or not, which means is it done or not? Right. Does that make sense? So again, there's going to be different filters that you can put in to, again, give you the information that you want up front. Okay. And I try to reassign unassigned tasks in the schedule, nothing happens. Just send us a note so we can kind of get the details on that, but you should be able to, okay? As far as when a task is done, there's a couple of ways that, how does the next person know that it's up for them? So there can be either an email notification saying, hey, you have a task that's ready, or in this case, it could actually it actually appears on my board, right? Until that's one of the settings we have under display options, which is completed predecessors only. So I only want to see things that are on my board. So until those other things get done, you can see that a lot of stuff dropped off of my list. Okay, so that's another way to kind of control what do I see. And as managers, you can kind of come in and do system settings, and you can define what they see and, how they see it. Not saying that they can't adjust it afterwards, but again, you can kind of default in views for them. Okay. So like I said, there's an email notification that can go out for, the prior task was completed, or again, it would just be a pop-up on there. Okay. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. So I guess we can kind of wrap it up a little bit. Like I said, if you guys have any specific questions, really send a note to support@workamajig.com so we can kind of see the details of that, so we can look into it. It may just be a setting in place or something like that. We're not sure. So that'd be a better way to troubleshoot this. As far as a recording for this, again, if you signed up for this, you should get an email saying this is available. Otherwise, you can actually hit up support.workamajig.com, and I'm going right there, and you'll see video guides, and underneath that, you'll see webinars, and from there, webinars again, this is all the webinars. So you can actually follow this particular page, and when we upload something new onto it, you would actually get an email for that as well. So in case you missed any of the other ones. So again, support.workamajig.com, kind of the video section, and then webinar section, and that's where they will reside if you don't get that email. But you can always send us a note as well. Okay. One question saying, is there an email notification if an assignment change is made on the staff schedule? So you're saying you're reassigning it from one person to another? Okay, yeah. Okay, I can put that in as an enhancement. Otherwise, again, if it's a schedule change, more not a person to person, but more of a timing change, that can generate a notification. That's one that's set up on your employee record for task changes. Okay, production schedule shows task on grid view, but not on the calendar view. Are you saying from a normal project where I'm in the project itself, and can I see that in a calendar view? Is that what you're asking for? And we would say, yeah, that's correct. So we do have the Gantt. We do not provide a calendar view in this one. Again, we would say that's the traffic calendar if you wanted to do it on that one. Okay. I just kind of, I'm sorry, I'm cycling back up. Okay. Okay, and then the printing of Gantt, we do have one that's called the timeline report, and we are working on basically printing the Gantt. It's just, again, yes, it was in Flash, but it's not in Platinum. But there is a report under the report section, projects, and it's called Timeline. So I could go to that one, Report Center, Project Financials, I believe. I'm sorry, no, Traffic, and the Project Timeline, and that's the only one that will print the Gantt. So let's make. Okay. Okay. When you click on the hours when in the day view, you can click into more and then system settings to adjust the columns, but why doesn't it have the same option on the week view? I think it's just more of the information that's being asked in a daily view versus a weekly view. It's a little harder to roll up, but again, I can put that in, and we can see what can happen with that. And again, if you have any suggestions for any screens, absolutely send those into support so we can take a look at those. Okay. Okay. And okay, so I guess it's about time to wrap it up. Thank you guys very much for your time. And again, any questions, do send those into support. And then again, next time they'll actually be doing another webinar on the Agile and using some of the other more advanced features for traffic. Again, this was just supposed to be a simple traffic one, so I hope that you'll join that one as well. Okay. Anyways, thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you for coming. Bye-bye.